welcome back to Shan's Cakes. In today's video I'm going to tell you 8 things I wish I'd known before I started a business. So I've been doing this for probably half a year now officially since I finished university, and I've learned so many things, so I hope this is interesting for anyone that's ever thought of running a business or just wants to know about my experience so far. So the first thing I've learned, which I learned pretty quickly, is that everyone will want to give you an opinion on your business, and most of the time it is because they care about you and they want to help you basically. So it's not a bad thing, but because it's my business, I've just had to learn when I want to take people's advice. So if I ask for advice, obviously I'm really grateful for it, but sometimes people give you advice and then you might think, well, that's not exactly what I want to do with my business. So I think you've just got to be a bit more decisive and trust in yourself and that your decisions are the right ones, because you'll have like a lot of conflicting opinions and things that you don't necessarily want to do. So yeah, that's something I've definitely learned, how to make my own decisions and just trust in myself and what I think is going to be good for my business. Okay, number 2 is to have a support network around you. So it's so important when setting up your own business that you've got people that are like backing you up. So for me, that's my family. Like without them, there's no way I'd be able to do this. Like they let me obviously work out of their kitchen, and I've got my bake room, which I think a lot of you have seen before through my Instagram. And without that space, I wouldn't be able to do it. And just in general, their support, I know like whether my business goes really well or if things don't go so well, that they'll be there to support me with whatever happens. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your family, maybe it would be friends or just people close to you, but I think that is really important to have people that will support you no matter what happens. The third thing I've learned is that you won't necessarily have a normal working week when you have your own business. So with a cake business, it will be slightly different to other businesses, but a lot of my like busy times are at the weekend because most people want a cake for the weekend. So like Friday, Saturday nights, I'm normally working. That's like my busiest time, when obviously that's the kind of time people are going out, socialising. So that's something you really have to think about, whether you want to do that. You just have to kind of like plan and adapt around it. So I'm quite often like quite quiet on like a Monday or Tuesday, so that's normally more my weekend where I just catch up on things, like go out and do my shopping, you know, all the boring things behind the scenes of a business. But yeah, it's something to definitely consider, because I didn't necessarily think of that before I started this up, that actually, you know, when my family are off doing fun things, normally I can't always join them because I'm working. So yeah, that is something to consider. The fourth thing I learned is to give yourself time off. So a lot of people told me when I started my business that to get business, I should just take on everything I can and yeah, just basically do everything. Like don't say no to anyone, take on like every order. But I realised pretty quickly, I got busy very quickly after I set up my business, and I was just exhausted. Like doing this every week, I wasn't even having a day off in the week. Some weeks I was, you know, when I wasn't baking, I was sorting out my messages, invoices, shopping. There's so many other things to do that I've learned now that I have to book myself in time off and actually take that as time off, because I've also found that running your own business, like my mind is always on my business. Like before I go to sleep, I'll be thinking of, you know, what cake toppers I've got to buy, or when I wake up, I'm thinking what I've got to do that day. My mind is always on it. So if I give myself time off, I won't take orders, and I actually try and like relax and stop thinking about everything I need to do, because otherwise my mind is exhausted as well as me actually physically being exhausted. The fifth thing I learned is it's important to say no sometimes. So again, kind of similar to the last point where I was told to take like a lot of things on. Sometimes it's not always good to take them on, and it won't always be helpful. And sometimes people ask me to do things that I don't really want to do. So yeah, saying no has probably been one of the biggest things for me. I am awful at saying no. I hate saying no to people. But it's something I've really had to learn how to do, because I'm one person and I can't always physically do everything. And I've also learned, so with my cakes, sometimes people have asked me to do designs that I genuinely don't think I can do. So there's no point taking things on that are just gonna like really stress you out, and yeah, I just don't see the point. I think, you know, go with what you're good at, and if there's something you can't do, just recommend someone else, or, you know, tell them what you can do and what your strengths are. But you don't always have to say yes to everything to be successful. There are situations where, you know, you do have to say no, and yeah, that's been probably the biggest learning curve for me. Okay, the sixth thing I've learned is that, especially with a cake business, there has been loads of startup costs. So even though I don't have a shop, I am running this all from home, I've spent so much money in the last few months on equipment. Even though I've been baking for years, like the volume I'm baking now, I've had to buy extra mixers, bigger fridges. You know, my expenditure is pretty crazy at the moment, and I'm only just started to make some of that back. So it is important to realise, especially in the first year of running a business, you're not going to be able to necessarily support yourself. Obviously, it completely depends what you're doing. Other businesses may be completely different, but what I've learned is like not to expect massive profits in the first year. The seventh thing I learned was not to give away too much free stuff. So it's really tempting when you're just starting a business to give lots of things away as promotions, which I did do slightly at the beginning, but I've realised a lot of people ask you, especially through Instagram, for free cakes, like just for a shout out on Instagram, and a lot of people do that, and that's fine, but again, you have to decide when that's going to be beneficial to your business. So if people just ask me for a free cake, my response is normally no. You know, you have to decide if a few extra followers is worth your time of doing a free cake. So for me, you know, making a big cake can take 4 to 5 hours, even longer if it's a 2-tier cake or a more intricate design. And it's expensive to make a cake as well. You know, you've got all the ingredients, the box, the board. People don't always realise everything that goes into it. And sometimes when people like have asked me for a free cake in return for like, you know, free advertisements, I've asked them like, will you cover my costs? Just like, I won't add on any cost of my time or anything like that. And they would just like, no, we just want a free cake, basically. So things like that I've just had to say no to, and just think what will be good for my business, what kind of promotions I want to do. It's not always worth giving away free stuff. I know it looks good sometimes if, you know, a celebrity on Instagram puts your name out there, but a lot of the time it's just on their stories and it's gone within 24 hours, and you might get a few new followers, and if that's worth it for you, then do it. But yeah, just think about if it is going to be worth it for your business. Okay, the eighth and last thing I have learned is that things will probably go wrong. Not necessarily massively. I've not had any massive things go wrong, but if they do, you've just got to use them as a learning experience. So if like something's gone wrong with a cake before, I've just said, well, I won't do that again, and learn from it. But the most important thing in this business is if the customer is happy. So if something has gone wrong and the customer's not happy, I make sure I sort it out straight away. That is the most important thing to me. If my customers aren't happy, then I haven't done my job properly. this is a customer service business, and surprisingly a lot of people don't realise that. I've seen conversations between cake makers and their clients online that I was shocked by, like arguing back with their customers saying, no, I didn't say that, all like horrible things really, and I just would never imagine saying that to a customer. Like, honestly, people need to realise that, you know, although I'm a cake maker, my main aim in my business is to make sure my customers are happy. So yeah, that's definitely something I've learned. Any little mistakes come up, make sure you fix them straight away. Don't argue about it, just do it. Make sure everything's fixed and the customer gets exactly what they want. So that is my 8 things I wish I'd known before starting a business. I really hope that's been helpful to some of you, or it's just been a bit more of an insight into my business and how it's been for me starting it up. I'm sure I'll still have loads more things to learn, and I'm looking forward to that. So let me know what you guys thought, leave me a comment below, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this page and like this video. Okay, thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.